CEO Mindset. He's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan. And today's episode is all about relationships and do they matter? What do you say, Colin?
Absolutely. There's no way you can build an empire without building relationships. So let's dig into it.
Perfect. Let's roll the intro. As mentioned, this is the CEO Mindset. He's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan, and we are going to talk about relationships on all levels and how they matter to you, your business, your family, your circle, your sphere of influence. I might have put a hint in there of where we're going, but relationships. Do they matter? What are they? How do we create them? Why are they so important to us as leaders, as business leaders, as leaders in our community? Colin, talk to us a little bit about that high level view, then we'll dig deep again. Relationships. Where do we start?
Um, to pour into and to invest in any relationship, there's only one way we can do that. And we can do it by spending time with that person.
Mm,
So I heard a quote a while ago that says, love is spelt Time.
yeah.
So and that's what relationship is all about. So whether you're a CEO of a multi-million dollar business or the CEO of your household of your life, spending time and building relationship with the people is what is going to get you to the next level. So we're going to dig into that today.
I like it. And how we do that is important. I love how you kind of started with that. And Colin and I, these are very loosely rehearsed interviews. I want everyone to understand that we jot down some notes, but he and I really don't know what each other is going to say. And I love that you started with that, Colin. I remember years ago, my wife Michelle and I, we were in a what do you call it? Like a couples small group where, you know, we were digging in deep and learning how
Mm-hmm.
to respond to each other and how to care for each other and things like this, basically to better, you know, to better one's marriage. And it was
Yes.
interesting. This is not always the case, but typically that love, that time, that time is hugely important in any relationship. And it was most interesting because typically men like when their spouse is with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this just hit home so funny and so well. If I'm doing a project or I'm gardening or doing whatever, painting the house, I would much rather Michelle just actually sit there in the room, even almost watching me, but just to know, just so I knew that she was there. And I didn't really need to talk, she didn't need to talk, just I wanted her there. And
Yes.
on the flip side is Michelle just wanted me to listen. She didn't want me to fix anything. She just wanted me to listen, listen, listen. Like, and I just thought that was so interesting. And I think no matter what your relationship is, you know, man, woman, spouse, partner, doesn't matter.
Yes.
I think those two will always attract each other.
Absolutely. And like you said there, Gare, as leaders, as CEOs, we're always looking to how do we fix this problem? So someone will come with a concern and it's like right away we're thinking of a solution, right? And you and I spoke about this earlier, but that might just be the way I will solve it. Are we spending enough time with that person, asking enough questions to understand what is the best solution for them? And building relationships allows us to do that because I know when we're having a conversation, Gary, you and I have spent enough time together. We've invested in our relationship. So I know where you're coming from. I know what are your goals, what are your aspirations. So whether it's in business or a personal level, I know what moves you. I
Mm-hmm.
know what motivates you. So, spending time and building solid relationships is what will help us build an empire, build a house, or build ourselves.
Yeah, I love it. And would you say that time, like anyone can spend time with people, right? Like that should be one of the easiest things to do. The harder thing to do is to create that connection, right?
Connection.
And so
Yeah.
how would you describe creating a connection with people? And that connection, of course, depending on the relationship, is either in incredibly deep, or that connection it gets tied down to an experience, perhaps.
Building connection, I think it starts with coming from curiosity, wanting to learn more about that person, genuinely wanting to know about that person, taking time to listen to what is being said instead of hearing so that you can respond. So I think those would be the two major component, because as a CEO of a business, you want to spend time with your partners in the business, whether they're on different levels or not. You need to understand how each part of the business function, and you can only do that with investing time into these relationships.
Yeah, and one of the questions that you and I both use often, and we've also, we've had the opportunities to lead large organizations, is when someone comes to us with an idea, or to them a problem or an issue. You it early on, I realized I don't need to solve this issue. I need to ask a different question,
Yeah,
and it's simply, tell me more about that.
tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah.
And just in asking the right questions, they also self discover, and it's the right answer for them and for their situation. Where you, as the leader, the CEO, you're not just giving a response, it's what you would have done.
Hmm.
You're not them,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
exactly.
And we can only do that if we spend and we invest that time into building relationships, right? Investing time to build a relationship, you might not necessarily see an ROI immediately, but know that is the best investment you can make in any one of your partners, your coworkers, investing time in them, building that relationship, getting to know them.
And let's take this into a different avenue, if you will. Getting to them, spending time with them, creating connection with them. As leaders, we may also look at that, or perhaps we haven't thought of it like this: is how are we serving our peers or our organization that we're leading? Talk to us a little about service.
It's as leaders, we need to come from, be that servant leader where we're helping the people in our circle achieve their goals.
Hmm.
And that is what servant leadership is about. How do I serve you, Gary, to help you achieve your goals? As a leader, if we were to do that for everyone in our organization, the organization will achieve its goals. If now we were to do that in our family life, okay, kids, what are your goals this summer? How can I support you in achieving that goal? You go to your spouse, honey, what's your goals for this summer? Now, as a household, you'll receive, together you'll achieve your ultimate goal. So that is what I would how I would answer that, Gary.
Yeah, I love that service or servant part of it,
Yeah,
because you truly want to see everybody reach their goals, and they won't have that understanding. Of course, it's that circle. If you close that circle and have that deep relationship or connection with them, and if we were to think about this too, I know, obviously we are realtors, and we lead a large real estate brokerage. I think about serving your clients, and what that experience is for them, and that connection you have. Our friend Ben Orsfeld will always say, if you create a great connection with a client, that's a client for life, and it's
yes,
an easy client to work with,
of course.
right? Yeah. It
That
it
that 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 goes without. That there is, it's spending that time to build that relationship, where we stop looking at it as a transaction and we build that relationship to get to know that person. You know, how many of us we have, clients, and outside of their job, do we know what they're interested in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The only way we can find that out is if we invest time into building that relationship. And it's funny because it's the simple steps, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Just following those steps can also allow you to learn so much about but the people that you're working with. And it's an easy way to navigate conversation, but you can leave that conversation knowing that I now know a little bit more. And they will leave that conversation as in, you took that time and you invested in me.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And when I mentioned Ben, I also thought of this too when he was leading his real estate team, and they would do a few hundred transactions every year. A few years ago, he said to his agents, when they're working with buyers or sellers, your number one goal is not to get that transaction done, not to make it a great experience, but to get to know them deep enough and well enough that you're going to buy them a gift that they are going to keep forever. You can't
Yes.
do that without all
If
the
it's
things we just talked
transactional.
about, right?
Yes. Yes. You can't do that if it's transactional, because transactional is next. We're moving on to the next. Building relationship is, oh my gosh, you like making, model like planes. Think about if you were to, buy something specific to that. Forget about your generic gifts that you give. Now it's a gift specific to their desires, their dreams, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but it's just something simple. But you took the time to get to know them. And that is what relationship is about.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. So relationships, do they matter?
Yes, they
Yes.
do.
Yeah.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
How do you create them? Talk to us quickly. You mentioned it. Slow it down a little bit. The Ford analogy, because I think that's so key for people that perhaps struggle with creating or not knowing how to create that relationship. I love that Ford analogy.
So it's Ford, Ford, and you can have this in any conversation, whether it's at a party this summer, or you're just catching up with people. Tell me about your family. F stands for family. Occupation. You start talking to people. What are your dreams? This is what you're doing now. What is that ultimate dream job or career you're looking to get to? For our recreation, what are you doing outside of work? Oh, do you like to ride bike? Do you mountain bike? Do you ski? Do you make paper airplanes? Do you compete at gymnastics in some way? And what are your dreams? D stands for dreams. Ultimately, money wasn't a concern, wasn't an issue. What would you be doing? You can spend 5 minutes getting to know someone with those four questions, or that can go on for 5 hours, just really digging deep into each and every one of those.
I love it. I think that's the best way to wrap up today's show. The CEO mindset. Do relationships matter? Yes,
Yes,
they
they
do,
do.
and they do deeply in how you create a connection with your friends and colleagues and spouse and partners, whatever it may be. It is so important to that relationship. So that's Colin Campbell. I'm Gary McGowan, and thanks for watching the CEO Mindset. We'll see everybody in the next show. Bye for now.
Bye for now.